Hello, I'm Alma Angeles and you're watching Eagle News International.
And I'm CJ Hero. Welcome to the program. On tonight's headlines.
Indonesia reports a record 2,069 coronavirus deaths in 24 hours as the Southeast Asian nation faces its deadliest COVID surge since the pandemic began.
A Hong Kong court convicted a former waiter of terrorism and inciting secession in the first trial conducted under a national security law that was imposed by China to stamp out dissent.
A wall of sand over 100 meters high swallowed a city on the fringes of the Gobi Desert in northwestern China in scenes reminiscent of a disaster film.
And Filipinos express honor and pride after weightlifter Heidelin Diaz won the country's first Olympic gold medal at Tokyo yesterday.
First, here in the country, health authorities said or reported 7,186 more COVID infections. The national caseload is now 1,562,420. However, recoveries is 5,672, pushing the total to 1,478,625. The Department of Health said the figure is equivalent to a 94.6% recovery rate since the start of the pandemic last year. Also logged were 72 new fatalities, raising the death toll to 27,318 or 1.75% of the total cases.
Indonesia reported a record 2,069 COVID deaths in 24 hours today as the Southeast Asian nation faces its deadliest COVID-19 surge since the pandemic began. Today's grim tally was nearly 600 deaths higher than the previous day and topped last week's daily record of 1,566 deaths, according to the Health Ministry. New infections also shot up to just over 45,000 from 28,000 on Monday. The eye-watering data comes after Indonesia this week loosened virus curbs by allowing small shops, street-side restaurants, and some shopping malls to reopen after a 3-week partial lockdown.
The death toll from floods in central China's Henan province rose to 71 today as a tribute at a subway where 14 people died was sealed off in a sign of sensitivity to the public criticism of the government's handling of the disaster. Torrential downpours dumped a year's rain in just 3 days last week on the hardest hit city of Zhengzhou, flooding subway cars and trapping more than 500 commuters during rush hour last Tuesday. Forecasters said more heavy rain is expected as the remnants of Typhoon Infa pass through the areas. Cities still reeling from the last week's floods, including Xinjiang, Hebei, and Anyang, are likely to see the heaviest downpours from today to the 29th, according to Henan's Meteorological Observatory in a statement.
A wall of sand over 100 meters high swallowed a city on the fringes of the Gobi Desert in northwestern China in scenes reminiscent of a disaster film. Dunhuang, a tourist draw with a colorful history as a Silk Road outpost, momentarily disappeared in the dust clouds as the storm hit on Sunday. Dunhuang is home to several major tourist attractions, including the Mogao Caves, a UNESCO World Heritage Site with ancient Buddhist carvings and striking desert landforms. Sandstorms are common in the region each spring, but rare in the summer, according to state-run news agency China News Service.
Meanwhile, 8 people were killed in a pileup of almost 24 vehicles after a sandstorm reduced visibility to zero on a busy desert highway in the western U.S. state of Utah, according to officials. Take a look. Now, children were among the dead and several people were taken to local hospitals by ground and air ambulances, including at least 3 in critical condition. Utah Governor Spencer Cox said he was stunned and saddened by the horrific accidents. Sandstorms are a common occurrence in the largely arid state, with weather forecast for the region Sunday afternoon warning of wind gusts in excess of 50 miles per hour and advising people to use caution if traveling through this area.
Back here in the Philippines, Pagasa said due to the prevailing southwest monsoon or habagat, flooding and rain-induced landslides continue to threaten some areas in Luzon. Moderate to heavy with at times intense rains are forecast over Ilocos region, Zambales and Bataan until Wednesday. Likewise, Metro Manila, Calabarzon, Abra, Benguet, Tarlac, Pampanga, Bulacan, and Occidental Mindoro will continue to experience light to moderate with at times heavy rains. Occasional gusty winds will prevail, especially in the coastal and upland communities of the aforementioned areas. Pagasa warned that scattered to widespread flooding, rain-induced landslides are likely during heavy or prolonged rainfall, especially in areas highly susceptible to these hazards. Meanwhile, no weather disturbance is expected to affect the country in the next 2 to 3 days, according to Pagasa forecaster Meno Mendoza.
Meanwhile, thousands of U.S. firefighters are battling a blaze in California that has grown so big it is generating its own weather system. With authorities warning on Monday conditions could worsen. The flames have grown large enough to create clouds that can cause lightning and high winds, which in turn fan the fire, according to experts. Take a look.
It's a little harder to fight it. That's why we keep getting these fires that are running for 100,000 acres or better. And that's, when we have that much dry material out there to burn, the fire's harder to put out because everything is willing to burn right now. Take these trees that are 20 inches in diameter and you lay them on the ground and they've been dead for 50 or 60 years laying on the ground. Those things normally have a 50 to 75% moisture content in them. Now we're down to single digits. So when an ember or a spark lands on it, that piece of wood will catch fire and keep burning. And it'll burn until it's fully consumed or until we put it out. It makes it more stressful and it's more dangerous. It's harder for us to put it out. I mean, like this one here was, this little slop over here was just getting ahead of us. And if we hadn't gotten here in time, it would have been running down towards the homes and giving us problems again. And that's why this fire just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Just every little thing it can to get ahead of us. Mother Nature is trying to consume what she needs to consume.
My animals, I don't have, I had no way to transport them out of here. And if I leave, they'll starve to death. I don't feel climate change has a bit to do with it. I think the environmental movement of this nation has caused a lot of this because they've stopped the logging. We could cut down 3 out of every 5 trees in this forest and still have a beautiful forest, and it wouldn't burn.
Really, I think our governor should have called in help a lot sooner than what he did after the Paradise Fire we had a couple of years ago that killed a lot of people.
Pretty bad. I know this doesn't do much, but it's I think I just checked the air quality index. It's like 414 last I checked. I actually was going into the hardware store to look for a respirator, so.
Around 5,400 firefighters have been struggling to contain the inferno, which was just 22% contained late Monday, the California Fire and Forestries Department reported. Julie Rutherford, a government meteorologist assigned to the blaze, said if these clouds get tall enough, they do have the potential to produce lightning. The Dixie Fire, meanwhile, has been raging in the forests of Northern California since mid-July, part of a climate crisis that has brought sweltering heat and an alarming drought. Over the weekend, it merged with another fire, prompting new evacuation orders. Wildfires are common in the state, but this summer has been particularly incendiary. Fires have already ravaged 3 times more vegetation this year than they had at this time in 2020, the worst fire year in California's history.
Now, South Koreans weltered through scorching temperatures Tuesday as Seoul suffers through a hot spell, recording 7 days above 35 degrees Celsius or about 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Take a look.
진짜 작년에 비해서 너무 좋은 것 같아요. 올해 날씨. 그래서 거의 그러니까 다른 때는 그냥 며칠 덥다가 그냥 하루 정도는 좀 어느 정도 괜찮다고 그랬는데 올해는 계속 더워요 날씨가. 그래서 너무너무 더워서 더위에 진짜 너무 힘든 것 같아요.
The government has issued regular alerts via text warning people to consume water often and refrain from outdoor activities between 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. The heat shows no signs of relenting with another week of mid-30-degree days forecast. The dry spell comes amid tight COVID restrictions across the country, including limits on people gathering in groups at some of the country's most popular beach destinations and a ban on groups of more than 2 in the capital after 6 p.m. A number of public pools in the capital remain closed, while people have found respite at popular areas alongside streams on the outskirts of the capital.
Meanwhile, North and South Korea has signaled a surprise thaw in relations today, announcing the restoration of cross-border communications that were severed more than a year ago, and an agreement between their two leaders to improve ties. The joint announcement, which coincided with the anniversary of the end of the Korean War, was the first positive development since the series of summits between the North's Kim Jong-un and the South's President Moon Jae-in in 2018 failed to achieve any significant breakthrough. Take a look. Now, the two sides revealed that Kim and Moon had exchanged a series of letters since April in which they agreed that re-establishing hotlines would be a productive first step in rebooting relations between the two rivals, who, despite the end of their 1950-53 conflict, remain technically at war. Pyongyang unilaterally cut off all official military and political communication links in June last year over activists sending anti-Pyongyang leaflets across the border, but the two sides said all lines were restored on Tuesday. They exchanged their first phone call since the suspension on Tuesday morning, Seoul's Unification Ministry said, with the Defense Ministry adding that military hotlines were also back to normal operation.
In other news, a Hong Kong court convicted a former waiter of terrorism and inciting secession today in the first trial conducted under a national security law that was imposed by China to stamp out dissent. The watershed ruling lays down a new marker in the city's changing legal landscape and confirms certain slogans are now outlawed in the international finance hub. Tong Yin Kit, 24 years old, was charged with terrorism for driving a motorbike into 3 police officers and secession for flying a protest flag during a rally on the 1st of this month last year, the day after the national security law was enacted. The flag read, "Liberate Hong Kong, Revolution of Our Times," a ubiquitous slogan during the huge and often violent pro-democracy protests that convulsed the city 2 years ago. The 15-day trial was heard without a jury, a significant departure from Hong Kong's common law tradition, and was decided by 3 judges handpicked by the city's leader to try national security crimes. In a written ruling, the judges said the flag slogan was capable of inciting others to commit secession. Tong will be sentenced at a later date and faces up to life in prison. The ruling has profound implications for future national security cases. More than 60 people have been charged under the law, including some of the city's best-known democracy activists, such as Jimmy Lai, owner of the now-shuttered Apple Daily newspaper. Most are now in jail, awaiting trial.
And the news continues here on Eagle News. We'll be right back.
This portion is brought to you by North Luzon Express Terminal.
Sampu ng aking pamilya at ng buong sambayanan hanggang sa ibayong dagat ay mainit at taos-pusong bumabati sa lahat ng mga kaanib ng Iglesia ni Cristo sa pagdiriwang ng inyong 107 anibersaryo. Parang kailan lang, nang magsimulang ipangaral ng sugo sa huling araw na si Ka Felix Y. Manalo ang mga salita ng Diyos at naitala ang Iglesia ni Cristo sa Pilipinas noong Hulyo 27, 1914. Nawa ay manatili ang inyong katatagan at tagumpay hanggang sa dumating ang ikalawang pagparito ng ating Panginoong Hesus. Mabuhay ang Iglesia ni Cristo.
On today's other news, the U.S. combat mission in Iraq will wrap up this year, more than 18 years after it began. Now, President Biden made it official during an official visit by the Iraqi Prime Minister. The president said the U.S. forces will shift. Take a look.
Things are going well. Our role in Iraq will be as a dealing with it's just to be available, to continue to train, to assist, to help, and to deal with ISIS as it arrives. But we are not going to be, by the end of the year, in a combat mission.
Now, President Biden also emphasized the U.S. support for elections in October in Iraq. He said Washington is working closely with Baghdad, the Gulf Cooperation Council, and the United Nations to ensure that the elections are fair. There are now 2,500 troops in Iraq, and it's still unclear how many will remain.
New requirements for COVID vaccinations gathered momentum as concerns over rising cases grows. The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs became the first federal agency to require vaccinations. About 115,000 of its healthcare workers are required to get vaccine in the next 2 months. There were similar moves.
And if they're not vaccinated and cannot verify that they've been vaccinated, we are requiring that they get tested. California is committed to vaccination, verification, and or testing on a weekly basis. Care settings, but as it relates to healthcare settings in the state of California, dental settings, doctors, all of these other acute centers, as well as congregate centers that include jails, homeless shelters. We are now asking for that verification, no longer requiring or rather encouraging self-attestation. This is a requirement. Our sincere and our belief and desire that we need to step things up at this stage of the pandemic.
Newsom says the new requirement aims to slow the rise in COVID infections among 238,000 state employees as the more contagious Delta variant now makes up an estimate 80% of infections in California.
Meanwhile, the United States said it would maintain restrictions on international travel into the country, sidestepping European pressure, pointing to a surge of cases of the COVID-19 Delta variant at home and abroad. Take a look.
This for with the Delta variant, we will maintain existing travel restrictions at this point for a few reasons. The more transmissible Delta variant is spreading both here and around the world. Driven by the Delta variant, cases are rising here at home, particularly among those who are unvaccinated, and appear likely to continue in the weeks ahead.
Now, the United States has restricted travel from the European Union, Britain, China, and Iran for more than a year due to the pandemic, later adding other countries, including Brazil and India. Now, the European Union in June opened up to travelers from the U.S., typically requiring proof of vaccination or negative tests under pressure from tourism-dependent nations such as Greece, Spain, and Italy that feared another troubled year. EU leaders have asked the U.S. to show reciprocity, and President Joe Biden on July 15 said he would have an answer on the issue within the next several days after appeals by German Chancellor Angela Merkel. The United States makes widespread exceptions, including for students, scholars, journalists, and business people. But European leaders have complained that the regulations inconvenience ordinary people and hinder transatlantic trade. Top U.S. government scientist Anthony Fauci warned on Sunday that the U.S. is going in the wrong direction and repeated appeals for hesitant people to get vaccinated.
Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte on Monday said the creation of the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict, or NTF-ELCAC, has resolved the root causes of the communist armed conflict in the country. Duterte slammed the CPP-NPA high-ranking officials for taking advantage of the communist revolution and profiting from the armed struggle. He lamented that only the poor people are dying for punishing or pushing the communist ideologies. Take a look.
Everybody, as everybody in this country, are paying taxes to the communists. The Communist Party earns billions, but pass on a little to their fighting men who die for an ideology that is so rotten and corrupt. They themselves are pocketing the money, and their children are studying in Europe and in other places, which I think none of you here can finance such journey. Yan ang masakit dito. They collect taxes, support season in Netherlands, and they do nothing about bad-mouth government and mouth war dogmas and everything. The cadres, and most of them belonging to the indigenous tribes of our country, are fighting a losing battle between the communists and the government. They waste lives, they enlist children, and they are proud of it, but they deny it. But when you go to the mountains, such as I and Senator go many times, even during the elections, they were there with so many arms that I think somebody, an idiot here in the Philippines, supplied the firearms. I'd like to ask Congress, especially Senator Bato, kindly dig on, because we have identified the person who imported the AK-47 into this country on the pretext of using it in the security, providing security and guards in business establishments and for those who can afford.
The President signed Executive Order number 70 in December 2018, creating the NTF-ELCAC that employs a whole-of-nation approach to end communism and institute peace-building initiatives.
Meanwhile, a group of Filipino Americans in New York Sunday called on the Communist Party of the Philippines New People's Army, or CPP-NPA, to stop its recruitment activities and the fundraising activities in the United States. The Filipino Americans Against Crime and Terrorism, or FACT, made this appeal after groups of young Filipino Americans held a rally outside the Philippine Consulate General in New York on June 11 during the 123rd Philippine Independence Day. Now, FACT said the protesters were composed of Bayan USA, Anak Bayan USA, Migrante USA, and Malaya Movement. FACT said the U.S.-based members of Bayan, Anak Bayan, and Migrante have been trying to convince the Filipino Americans to support them through deception. The United United Kingdom, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and the Philippines also listed the CPP-NPA as a terrorist organization.
2 people were seriously injured in an explosion at a chemical park in Leverkusen, Western Germany, the site's operator said as police urged residents to shelter indoors. The blast happened at around 9:40 a.m. or 7:40 GMT for still unknown reasons. Germany's Nina warning app sent an extreme danger alert to residents, urging them to close all doors and windows and keep the emergency numbers free as much as possible. Chem Park operator Carenta said in a statement the incident occurred at Chem Park's landfill and waste incineration area in Leverkusen's Burig district, which is separate from the main industrial park that houses numerous chemical companies, including Bayer. Carenta said firefighters and rescue crews were at the scene, as well as pollution detection experts. We'll be back with more stories. Please don't go away.
Bank of Commerce. What we are is personal banking, where we understand that every deposit is your hard-earned money. Every loan is for good reason. Every service aids in your convenience. Every business of ours is meant to grow yours. We hear you, feel you, and we act on your every banking need. Bank of Commerce, an affiliate of San Miguel Corporation.
Mula noon hanggang ngayon, gabay natin ang MTRCB ratings sa matalino at responsableng panonood. Sa tamang pagsunod sa MTRCB ratings, ginagawa nating ligtas at makabuluhan ang panonood ng bawat miyembro ng pamilyang Pilipino. Lumipas man ang panahon, hanggang may pamilyang Pilipino, andyan ang MTRCB.
Jobs in the country were higher by 2.2 million from the pre-pandemic level. That is according to Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Carl Kendrick Chua. In an interview with PTV after the State of the Union address or SONA Monday evening, Chua said through risk management and implementation of granular lockdowns, the country generated more jobs amid the coronavirus crisis. Now, data from the Philippine Statistics Authority or PSA Labor Office Survey or LFS showed that there were 42.5 million Filipinos employed in January of 2020. In its latest LFS in May 2021, total employed Filipinos was at 44.72 million, 5% or 2.22 million higher than January 2020 numbers.
Filipinos express honor and pride after weightlifter Heidelin Diaz won the country's first Olympic gold medal at Tokyo 2020 yesterday. Take a look.
Actually, I felt empowered because I do weightlifting din kasi. So, na-inspire ako sa kanya. Lalo na nanalo siya ng gold medal. Kasi she's been trying since 2014, I think. So, yeah, nung nanalo siya, parang as girls, go girl. Parang empowered na kami.
Yes po, sobrang proud po as a Pilipino. Kasi nandun kasi tayo sa point na parang nawawala na rin yung ano natin, yung support. Or hindi na rin natin masyadong nabibigyan ng attention yung mga ganong bagay. So parang isa na rin yung way para at least bumalik ulit yung suporta natin sa mga ganong sport sa Pilipinas.
Weightlifter Heidelin Diaz made history when she became the first athlete from the Philippines to win an Olympic gold medal. The 30-year-old Rio 2016 silver medalist from the southern city of Zamboanga realized her dream in the women's 55-kilogram class at the Tokyo International Forum, smashing her personal best to see off world record holder Liao Qiuyun of China, who had to settle for silver. With a massive effort, she hoisted the huge Olympic record weight, and the tears of joy began to flow even before she dropped the bar to the floor after a triumphant effort. Liao took the silver with Kazakhstan's Zulfiya Chinshanlo, the bronze 10-kilogram adrift off the top two. Diaz was already assured a place in her country's sporting folklore alongside the likes of boxing icon Manny Pacquiao as the only woman from the sprawling archipelago ever to win an Olympic medal. Her surprise silver 5 years ago, breaking a 20-year medal drought for the Philippines. Diaz's stunning victory was splashed across the front pages of Philippine newspapers and dominated internet platforms. Eagle News will be back. Please don't go away.
I convey my warmest greetings to our brothers and sisters in Iglesia ni Cristo on their joyful celebration of the Church's 107th anniversary. I also congratulate Ka Eduardo V. Manalo, the Iglesia ni Cristo's executive minister, for his exemplary leadership that led to a phenomenal growth in church membership all over the world. Over the years, the brethren of Iglesia ni Cristo have shown us what servant leadership is all about. They have proven that one can help lead a nation by serving our people faithfully and diligently. I'm forever grateful to the Iglesia ni Cristo for all the impressive roles in the recovery and rehabilitation efforts in the Eastern Visayan region in the aftermath of Typhoon Yolanda. You were among the first to rush to our aid at a time when our people needed it the most. Your compassion in helping us rebuild our lives will be remembered in the years to come. I wish the Iglesia ni Cristo all the best as you propagate the faith in every part of the globe. May Lord God continue to bless your efforts in spreading the good news of our salvation and in living a life of good deed. Maraming salamat po sa serbisyo. Maraming salamat po sa malasakit.
And an Aid to Humanity events were conducted in Papua New Guinea even in the midst of the pandemic. Here's Echo Hortaleza for the report.
Despite the enormous challenges brought about by this pandemic, the Iglesia ni Cristo, or the Church of Christ in Papua New Guinea, plays a significant role. The Church of Christ in Papua New Guinea never runs out of ways and ideas on how to extend help. Ministers traveled and led numerous aid to humanity programs throughout the country. Here in Port Moresby, remarkable acts of kindness were witnessed when 3 devastating tropical cyclones left residents anxious and petrified by the floods, strong winds, and heavy rains. The Church of Christ immediately extended generosity and kindness by dispensing food parcels and other necessities that helped the victims. The church also played an important role in building the COVID-19 quarantine facility in coordination with the Filipino Association of Papua New Guinea. Church members donated foods and appliances to our kababayans. The Church of Christ was also present in helping the overseas Filipino workers to be repatriated as economy was hit due to the pandemic. Also, law enforcers and their families received acts of kindness when the church organized its Fight for Poverty program. In the cool altitude and mountainous terrain of Goroka, Eastern Highlands, the coffee capital of Papua New Guinea, and in the vast land and beaches of Wewak East Sepik, including the Western Highlands province of Mount Hagen, where tribal wars and serious crimes are rampant, and in the most beautiful province of the North Coast named Madang, the Church of Christ also delved through food parcels, care packages, clothing, and hygienic kits to help these less fortunate residents of these secluded places. Even though COVID-19 created a massive social divide, the Church of Christ sees deemed fit to all the more extend kindness. In Ley City, the second largest province of Papua New Guinea, countless INC giving and aid to humanity programs were always conducted in various suburbs and resettlement areas. Consistent distribution of goodwill bags to help alleviate the needs of the residents was the church's utmost aim, with many villages such as Teragwe, West Taraka, Rain Coast Community amongst others benefited from this outreach. A first ever Aid to Humanity program was also highlighted in the northeast side of Papua New Guinea, a province of East New Britain called Kokopo. It has been coordinated by the members of the Church of Christ in Madang province to traverse and extend kindness to the underprivileged people of this land. The Iglesia ni Cristo, or the Church of Christ's commitment to fight poverty continuously makes a great difference to the people who are in need in this time of global pandemic. Reporting from Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea, this is Eco Hortaleza Quinola, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you for that report. Now here is a brief but informative history of the Iglesia ni Cristo, or Church of Christ, since the first worship was held on July 27, 1968, while also highlighting recent outreach events by the Global Church, courtesy of our EBC Hawaii Pacific. Here's Alfred Asinas for the report.
Officers and the brethren here in the District of Hawaii Pacific are united with the church administration in doing these kinds of activities like aid to humanity. The reason is because we want to obey the teachings of the Lord Jesus Christ written in the Bible, which is to love our neighbor, to help those people who are in need.
are more activities by the Iglesia ni Cristo Church of Christ in this part of the world, so stay tuned. Reporting from Eva Beach, I'm Alfred Asenas, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Alfred. Now let's hear out some of the greetings of the Iglesia ni Cristo as the church celebrates its 107th year anniversary today. Take a look.
Parts of the world, including
binabati ang komunidad ng Iglesia ni Cristo dito sa Thailand, ganun din sa buong mundo. Pati na rin ang pinunong si Executive Minister Eduardo V. Manalo sa okasyon ng ika-107 anibersaryo ng Iglesia ni Cristo. Nais ko pong pasalamatan muli ang Iglesia ni Cristo sa mabuting pakikipagtulungan sa programa ng Embahada, lalo na ang repatriation noong nakaraang taon ng 2020 sa kalagitnaan ng pandemya. Marami pong salamat at mabuhay ang Iglesia ni Cristo.
On behalf of the Philippine Embassy in Myanmar, I would like to extend my warmest felicitations on this joyous occasion of the 107th anniversary of the founding of Iglesia ni Cristo. May the members of your church keep safe and continue to receive bountiful blessings. And may Iglesia ni Cristo continue to grow and prosper. Once again, congratulations and happy 107th founding anniversary of Iglesia ni Cristo. Thank you.
Magandang araw po sa inyo lahat. This is Consul General Paul Raymond Cortez of the Philippine Consulate General in Dubai and the Northern Emirates, and I'd like to greet on behalf of my loving wife, Dr. Yasmin Cortez, and for the rest of my family, a happy, wonderful, and amazing 107th anniversary of the foundation of Iglesia ni Cristo. Congratulations on this milestone event. For several years now, including that of the duration of the tour of duty dito po sa Dubai and Northern Emirates, ang mga kapatid nating INC have become one of the most active and most productive Filipino community organizations and churches dito po sa lugar natin, dito sa Middle East. They have become beacons of hope, love, and cheer para sa ating mga kababayan who have come to Dubai in search for economic opportunities para sa kanila at sa kanilang mga pamilya back home in the Philippines. They have become icons and inspirations of hope para sa ating mga kababayan, and I do hope that the Iglesia ni Cristo will continue leading its members towards spiritual enlightenment and good citizenry for the years to come. Congratulations po again on this milestone event, and God bless you po. Maraming salamat po.
my warmest congratulations and best wishes to the members of Iglesia ni Cristo, headed by Brother Eduardo Manalo, on the 107th anniversary of its foundation. The spirit of community, solidarity, and service of Iglesia ni Cristo in various parts of the world, including here in Cambodia, gives faith and hope in these trying times. Happy anniversary, and mabuhay po kayong lahat.
On behalf of His Excellency Jose C. Laurel V, the Philippine Ambassador to Japan, and the officials and staff of the entire Philippine Embassy in Tokyo and our Consulates General in Osaka and Nagoya, wish to greet the Iglesia ni Cristo happy 107th anniversary. Of course, your group has been instrumental in nation building, and we hope that the Iglesia ni Cristo will continue to thrive and will continue to remain a partner of the Philippine government in building our strong Philippines.
To the leadership and members of Iglesia ni Cristo, I wish to extend my congratulations for your 107th founding anniversary. Ang Iglesia ni Cristo ay isang mahalagang bahagi ng Filipino community dito sa Malaysia. Nagpapasalamat kami dahil patuloy kayong bukas sa ating mga kababayan dito sa Malaysia na nangangailangan ng tulong, lalo na ngayong panahon ng pandemya. We are also grateful for your active support to the embassy's programs for the benefit of the Filipino community. May God continue to bless you and your ministry, that you may be a blessing to many. Congratulations.
Together with the officers and staff of the Philippine Embassy in Singapore and the Filipino community in Singapore, I would like to convey my sincere greetings and warmest congratulations to the entire Iglesia ni Cristo brethren on the occasion of your 107th founding anniversary. I also extend my best wishes for the good health and continued success of Executive Minister Brother Eduardo V. Manalo and the leaders of the Iglesia ni Cristo. Mabuhay po kayong lahat.
On the occasion of the 107th anniversary of the Iglesia ni Cristo, I wish to convey to Ka Eduardo V. Manalo and to all its members my greetings and heartfelt congratulations. And may you have a happy, healthy, and blessed anniversary. Mabuhay po tayong lahat.
I would like to greet all our friends in Iglesia ni Cristo, and especially my personal friend, Brother Manalo, for the 107th anniversary of Iglesia ni Cristo. We have a long-standing close relations with Iglesia ni Cristo. Myself as an ambassador, I was blessed in visiting your people in venues all over the country. I was impressed from the amazing work you did during COVID to assist the Filipino people. And I just wish you to continue the good job. And I hope to meet you in Jerusalem. So again, congratulations for your anniversary. Thank you very much. Shalom. Maraming salamat.
Well, Church of Christ is celebrating 107 years. And that's a significant achievement. It continues to grow throughout the world. You know, when you think 107 years ago, it would have been a small church in the Philippines to what it is today. Throughout the world, in my home country of Canada, my wonderful city of Winnipeg, the Church of Christ and the congregation has contributed so much for the very well-being of helping people in poverty, our seniors, our environment by planting trees. They continue to feed the spiritual and physical growth of the community, and it's really had a wonderful impact. I can only imagine in terms of its contributions throughout the world, having had the opportunity to meet with Brother Manalo not that long ago and visit the compound. It's such a wonderful place to be, and I just wanted to extend my congratulations, my personal congratulations, as I say, to the administration and the members of the congregation worldwide, and wish you many more years of outreach, both, as I say, physically and most importantly, spiritually. God bless, and wishing you the very best.
Isang mainit na pagbati sa Iglesia ni Cristo, ang pagdiriwang ng inyong 107 anibersaryo. Sa mahigit ng isang siglo, ang INC ay naging inspirasyon sa maraming Pilipino upang magpatuloy na isang lumaganap at pag-ibig, kabutihan at malasakit sa kapwa-tao sa pamamagitan ng salita ng Diyos. Sa okasyong ito, manatili sana kayong tapat sa inyong misyon maglingkod sa ating pamamayan. Maligayang anibersaryo. Mabuhay kayong lahat.
His Excellency Rafael Harpas, Ambassador to the Philippines, Israeli Ambassador to the Philippines.
Happy anniversary again to the Iglesia ni Cristo. And that's it for tonight's broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I am CJ Hero. We'll be back tomorrow. So
and at the end of the day, there remains so much more to be grateful for. We'll see you back tomorrow. I'm Alma Angeles, and we live in interesting times.
This program is supported by Bank of Commerce, an affiliate of San Miguel Corporation. We think customers.